Hello, my fabulous friends. For those who are new, my name is Cassie, and today we're going to be doing some fun watercoloring using just a couple of colors. Let's go ahead and get started. Today I'm working on Arch's cold press watercolor paper, and I'm working with the Gina K Designs Rarest Rose stamp set. I've stamped my flowers out using antique linen distress ink. I also have a few small brushes, as well as my paint, some water, a mixing plate, and a rag to dry off my brushes. And finally, I have a small piece of paper towel just for blotting up any extra paint and water on my project. We're going to start by putting some Quinacridone Rose on our mixing plate. We want a nice puddle because we want to mix enough of our color to color all of the flowers without having to make more later on. Adding a little bit of water to that to make it a little bit runnier, a little bit thinner, and a little bit lighter. Now we're going to add just a little bit of Phthalo Green blue shade to this. It doesn't take very much. This is going to tone down our pink and make it just slightly purple. Phthalo Green is a very strong color, so if you need to add more pink, go ahead and do that. Okay, we're going to start by adding just a little bit of our pink mixture to the darkest part of the petal, which will be the shadow, so right where the upper petal crosses over that under petal. And then I'm just going to spread that out with some clean water. I'm not making sure to fill in every single spot. I'm keeping it a little bit loose and just kind of letting it go where it wants to go. Then going to continue doing that, jumping around between petals so that wet petals don't touch each other. I'm going to let the petals dry in between. Since we have a lot of petals to go, I'm going to go ahead and speed this up and let you just listen to some music, and I will jump in when I have something to say. Now that we have our base layer of color done, I'm going in with a smaller brush to add in some hints of detail. I'm making sure that all my shadows are sharp, adding in a little bit of veining and a little bit of dimension to the petals. I'm also trying to define any shapes of the petals that were lost with my initial washes. If you want to add some more contrast and some deeper shadows, you can add more of the Phthalo Green into your pink mixture to make a purple shadow color. When working with a very tiny brush, I find it easier to add a tiny bit of water to a small dish and get my water from that instead of dipping it into the large cup. It helps control the water so I don't get too much water on my brush. Now that I have my cool shadows in place, I want to add some warmth to my highlights. I'm going to do that by mixing a very, very watery wash of Quinacridone Gold. I'm then going to brush it over the highlight areas and dab it off with a paper towel. This will leave just a hint of that warmth behind without overpowering it with the yellow color. I'm then going to take that same Quinacridone Gold and paint those small flowers the same way that I painted the roses, adding some dark color to the shadows and then smoothing that out with a wet brush. I'm not taking quite as much care to get the definition on these flowers. I will add that definition back in a minute. For the centers of the flowers, I'm going to pick up that same rose color and add that to the still wet flowers. The pink and the yellow will blend into a nice soft center. I'm then picking up a little bit more of that pink color and adding it to the yellow to create my shadows for the yellow flowers. I'm not adding too much definition, more the hint of the shape. For my leaves, I'm going to mix some French Ultramarine blue with some Quinacridone Gold. This creates a variety of shades of green, from yellow green to blue green, depending on your ratios. And just like we did with our rose petals, I'm dropping in the deepest color where the shadow is, and then pulling that color out. I will be softening it with some water. I'm not too concerned about being perfect here. It's a looser style, and those skipped areas give it some character. I like to add a little bit of reflected color into my leaves, so I pick up a little bit of that same pink that I used in my roses and add it to just a few strategic places in the leaves to give them some other pops of color. To darken up my shadows, I'm going to add some more French Ultramarine to my green mixture. This will take it to a darker blue-green color. I'll use that same dark shadow color for the other small leaves. To fill in some of that extra white space, I'm going to make some very watery petals of my pink and yellow and splatter them in just 3 corners, focusing mostly on the upper left and the lower right. This helps extend the visual line already created by the flowers. With a very small brush and my leaf shadow color, I'm adding in some indications of veining. I'm not adding all the details in, just enough that you get the idea. I'm also going back in and adding any extra contrast where needed. And because paint splatters aren't predictable, I'm going in and manually adding a few where I need some for balance. And to finish it off, I'm just using a black pen to doodle in a rough border. And here's our finished card. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like and leave me a comment. It does a lot to help my small channel, so thank you so much. You can also find me on Instagram. I will have a link in the description below, as well as a list of the products that I used. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.